Boom. So good afternoon, everyone. This is Lou Martin, and I'm continuing my series of interviews with interesting and powerful light workers and creative types. And I have a lady who is both of those in great abundance. And this is my new friend, Sally Francis from the UK. Hi, Sally.
Hi, Lou. Hi, lovely to be here with you.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. Well, you're, I make the sign of a teaspoon. You've made the sign of the wave. You're got a lot to share with people, and I just am happy to connect here with you. Do you want to tell folks a little bit about your background and how you came to be who you are today?
Wow.
How's that for a
softball
question?
Well, it's really interesting because I just will say my book is called "Remember Who You Truly Are."
Right.
So how do I come to be who I am? I'm just almost like channeling as I'm talking with you now.
Sure.
Well, my journey started, as a very intuitive, very sensitive. I'm a full-blown empath, is what I know now.
Right.
Looking back at my life, I really understand the journey. But at the time, like many of us who are waking up and finding out, it's the whole voyage of discovery, I think, this lifetime.
Yeah.
I think many of us we've all come here at this time. We're meant to be here.
Yeah.
We are all waking up and discovering who we really are as we, get beyond the veils and the illusion of what we've been told and the old paradigms that have been around and are around at the moment. So me,
yes.
I manifested or came into a family with three, as I spoke to you earlier today, with like three brothers and a father who was very awake, was very much a light worker, a beautiful, very conscious man, a really loving being, kind man.
Right.
And I've had a journey, but with brothers, as I said, that has been poking me with a stick, really, which is what I think you find with a lot of people that are kind of waking up in the world at the moment, is that, sometimes through the hard times and the troubles is that we get to find out who we really are. So that aside, then I was a very psychic, sensitive, empathic child, picking up the energy in the house and everything all the time, knowing that I was quite different from the other people, other children in the house, perhaps.
I'll bet you were.
Not understanding, which is a lot of people, maybe, and children when they're young don't understand themselves. So like every single human on the planet who's manifested at this time, it is a whole journey, a kind of understanding. And So I was a very sensitive, very, very sensitive child.
Right. You said you were conscious basically your whole life. You've really known spirit was there your whole life, which is pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, I really have. And I think I'm saying this for anyone who has now children and young children, if they're having nightmares at night and that kind of thing, and they are connecting with the other side and spirit, it can be very, very, if you see past lives and future lives and that kind of thing when you were a child, which I feel hundreds of thousands of children do as well, and who are totally misunderstood. So I understand now, looking back, we're all energy beings in bodies, and consciousness is not just our body, it's out of our body. And, that's a whole nother story about where consciousness is, etc.
Okay.
But,
I'm game. We can get into that. Yeah.
So everything is energy. And, going forward in my life, I taught tens of thousands of children in 200 schools.
Right.
That's been kind of my journey.
Right, which is amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I was guided. I was guided. But before that, I ended up, because I will say, not wanting to be in my body because I was so sensitive. And again, I think this will resonate with people that are listening, is they found it hard being here with a dense energy.
Sure.
And their spirit and souls have known a different existence or a different time.
Sure.
Even as I'm saying that, I get connections like with Lemuria and Atlantis and that kind of thing.
Right.
So a lot of us are kind of waking up at the moment to remember, those past lives as well. And at this time space now, I remember, and things have been coming in, and lots of people who are waking up will be having these experiences, and they will be different from everybody.
Yeah. Well, let's take a minute for that, Sally. Tell us what your take is on what is happening energetically at the moment. You won't.
Well, as I wrote in my book, as I said to you earlier, in 2005, we're waking up. We're in almost like two different paradigms, really. I think at the moment you've got mass polarity that's happening in the world at the moment, and on one side you've got the robotic very patriarchal side that and we saw it even with policies and that kind of thing, health and safety policies all coming in, big pharma, as you know, etc., etc., government control, top-down government control. On the opposite side, fear dynamic, totally. Having to control because they don't have that connection to source.
Right.
So some of these, that's what I kind of get. Some of these people who have kind of enslaved other people around the world is because basically they've never got over their own childhood wounding at some deep core level.
They're kind of disconnected from themselves and from source, and so they're sort of living off the energy of other people because they don't know how else to do it.
Absolutely.
Right.
So they haven't gone up and been self-contained beings. They don't understand that principle.
Right.
But they have to pull energy off, and you will see that in the narcissistic, sociopathic, psychopathic personalities that are around in the world who seek
the story of our time. The story of our time.
So it's a collective narcissism and psychopathy that is wanting to take over and run and control the world on a human level, albeit, as we know, there are other beings of light and sentient beings, etc., going on in our galactic federation and angelic sides that are seeing and wanting to come down and so at some level, and even I'm just channeling as I'm saying this, at some level there is a big, almost like battle of the dark and the light going on at the moment, and it's
polarization.
It's the polarization, and I think that we need to get away from the words that they use of like war and battle. Actually, I'm being told off as I'm speaking, so
okay.
It's kind of, it's seeing that there is this mass divide almost, really.
Sure. Well, let me just jump in for 1 second, Hun. So that's brilliant. So it really isn't it, as we know, it's about making conscious choices.
Yeah.
And, whatever each of us can do, and you and I can encourage people to do about going within and listening, trusting and following our inner guidance and taking time and space for peace, then that gives us that detachment and discernment from all the information and all the fear and panic and control that the world is moving through now. Yeah,
absolutely. And on a personal level, then that was the story of my life, really.
Right.
What I found is that, and I played volleyball for England, but it was because I knew that I had to be in my body in every single day at that time. The only way I could really be in my body, which we are being encouraged to do at the moment, is to ground ourselves in our energy. So walking, running, yoga, tai chi, meditation will all get us to connect with ourselves and our bodies. It's paramount at the moment that we connect and even put our feet on the earth to, put our energy fields back around the right way. And
sure, because the energy is going up, isn't it?
That's right, very much.
And if we're not grounded, then we get very wobbly and anxious and.
Yeah, but even our energy systems in our bodies can be run the opposite ways. And there are people around the world who are doing energy work. I do EFT, but there are other energy workers who understand about that and the systems of the body. So even in terms of our medical, systems, all right, be it they're good on some levels. And
well, it's great if you're in a car accident. That's my joke.
No, absolutely. Or you need surgery or something like that.
Yes.
Absolutely agree. But we've come so far away from our natural living and being in terms of living by nature. And I'm a Taurian, so I'm an earth woman, massively an earth woman.
Yes.
So to me, wealth and abundance is all about nature. It's not about going to a shop and buying more clothes and contributing to the pollution of the planet at the moment.
Sure. And can we talk about women and leadership and being a spiritual woman and cheering the women on and,
absolutely
encouraging women to take their power and all? We talk about that for a moment from
well, no, absolutely. And I think, as we were talking before the interview, in my family, I've come in from a very kind of, patriarchal system of mixed up men, actually, which is what we were talking about. And so they've always so I have come to write my book through personal, trying to be battered by one particular brother in particular, and my parents are both passed now, so it's been a very interesting journey. And I kind of see it now as our soul families waking up to align. Even like today, I feel more resonance with you than I do with my birth brothers who I grew up with.
Well, thank you.
So I think it's about finding those soul brothers and sisters who resonate with us at the moment. And so in my journey, I was launched around the world by somebody who saw my intuitive kind of gifts. and I wasn't, I will say, I was a very silent woman earlier on in my years, and it
Well,
was
you were
really,
protecting yourself, my friend.
oh my goodness, totally.
Yes, yes,
Totally.
yeah,
I was a silent child. Actually, I didn't speak. And as my journey as a teacher, I've even gone around and said that, that there are so many different forms of intelligence, the patriarchal reading and writing and science. And I am trained in science as well.
right, right.
It's
Yes,
just
you
one
mentioned
view.
microbiology. That's brilliant. Yeah.
So it's been relevant for this time.
Oh
But
God, yes, yes,
I taught everything, and what I discovered, and I've got books to write about education, and
right,
there are so many forms of intelligence, and I think energetic intelligence is a thing that people haven't looked at, and I think sensitivity in the world either has been completely, people have been drugged for eons, through having
yes,
sensitivity and feeling emotions and feeling things,
sure,
which may not even be your own. I think that's really where I'm even like waking up. There's a lot of
sure,
what I was feeling,
sure,
even in my family, was not my own stuff. It was
sure.
other people's. So
Sure. I mean,
um,
this is, trauma-based mind control, to
yes.
my mind, hon, where in,
Yes.
like both my father and my grandfather were medical doctors.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, and so my dad, the whole thing, the whole program of education
Yeah.
is, basically a cult, where they break people's will, they exhaust them, they indebt them to the organization, they
Yeah.
inflate their egos and say, you're a god, you're special, just get through this inhumane, brutal indoctrination, and then for the rest of your life, you'll be one of the chosen ones. And
Mm.
yes, this is the narcissism that is a part of our cultural awakening that so many
Very.
people are unconscious of, isn't it?
Yes, and I think it's very true. And I was actually lucky in education, whereas I started in education when it wasn't too controlled either. Um,
Right,
so
right,
I can kind of see, and with prime, I was teaching primary kind of, so younger children. So um, yeah, but when the national curriculum came in our country, I can remember thinking, my God, oh my God, what's happened?
yeah,
That's going to go so far away from our freedoms. So
yeah,
I was a very intuitive teacher when I started teaching with children, and I
right,
wasn't this top-down control. And I would actually speak up against these women and other men as well in the schools who were just like flog kids to
sure,
death. So
right, right,
already I was seeing that in the education system, and
right,
I
right,
would speak up. And a lot of my life eventually was in teaching, was teaching special needs children and that kind of thing as well.
brilliant,
So I was
brilliant.
always fighting for the underdog everywhere.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Well, you have some serious gifts, my good friend, and that's an amazing thing because you're able to move past a lot of the mind and mental and personality,
yeah,
filters. And as you said, as we were talking earlier, I get to do the same thing
yeah,
in working with people intuitively and in the channeling energetically. It's just like,
yes,
just
yeah,
get that out of the way.
yeah. It's fascinating, isn't it? And I think um, I can remember thinking, when I first started doing sessions like 20 years ago with people, that what do I know? And I think we all, and even like saying that, we all know a lot intuitively and innately in
Sure,
ourselves, and
sure.
we've come away from that. And you asked me about
But
how have I
we
empowered.
talk ourselves out of it is the phrase from my
Oh,
wife.
absolutely.
Yes,
And I think,
yes,
but what I'm getting at the moment as well, with everything that's happening on the news and da da da, is we are distracted. And it's only when when you, as you know, when you go into meditation, when you have silence, when you can be by yourself, that you can really get back and listen to your own stuff. And the, the fear and the pandemic is, and the control, which is what you were talked about, has come
yeah,
about like trash everyone to get more out of them.
right.
Whereas it's so stupid because less is always more. And I was really lucky that I was brought up in a time where my parents didn't operate like that. My mother wasn't at a rush. She lived till she was 92.
Right.
And that generation knew that as well.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
had lunch hours,
Sure.
you'd have long coffee breaks, tea breaks. There wasn't
Sure.
this rush mentality that's in the world at the moment. And
Right.
I see that, and I have adult children who are not living with me now, but I've
Right.
seen that in them. It's like,
Sure.
just stop,
Sure. Well, it's the
and
programming, isn't it?
absolutely.
And
Oh,
even on the telly, you know, the rapid editing of images, you know, that go, you know,
Oh my God.
and it triggers the reptile brain, fight and flight and all that.
Oh,
And there's
absolutely.
so much sex and violence, you know, being thrown at people in our entertainment, you
Yeah.
know, etc.
Yeah.
All that.
And I think, you know, and that's exactly what's happening at the moment, isn't it? I mean, it's like even the words they're using, I mean, kind of lockdown. I mean, oh my God, you know,
Yeah,
I could
yeah, yeah,
hypnotizing people to
yeah. Well,
be away
do
from themselves.
yeah. Do we want to talk a little bit about science and viruses and medicine and what you believe, and really
Oh
push
wow.
the boat out? I mean, you know, I'll take it. I'll take a swing at it if you want to. You know.
Oh, okay. Go on then. We'll see. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I
yeah. I
mean,
mean,
so you've heard Judy Mikovits?
yes.
Okay, she seems totally credible to my mind.
Yes, I believe so.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. So
Yeah.
her thesis is basically that the blood supply was contaminated
Mm.
around the time of AIDS, and whether it was deliberate or accidental, it was never corrected, and that
Yeah.
is what caused the millions of cases of HIV and AIDS around the planet, where people were not having gay sex or intravenous drug users, etc. So that's Anthony Fauci's. She gives him full credit for all of that, and Robert
Yeah.
Gallo, I believe, gets to take some credit for that as well.
Yeah. I've
And
researched all that. So yeah.
right, seems very, yeah, me too. Seems very believable, sadly. And of course, Judy Mikovits was threatened with everything and
Mm.
was pushed into silence for 5 years, and then she's come
Yeah.
out now with her attorney. So these are covered legally with not one but two ground-shaking books, Plague and Plague of Corruption.
Yes.
And of course, as soon as that gets onto the internet and Judy's out there talking, then people are banned and the material is banned, and David Icke talking about it is
Yeah.
banned. We don't,
Yeah.
you know, we're not allowed to do autopsies, and we're not allowed to, you know, anyone that dies for any reason, it's COVID-19,
Yeah. I'm
uh,
with you. I'm on the
you know,
same
you're
page.
eaten by a shark. It was COVID-19 was really, you know, the cause of this. So I just, you know, that's what I know, and a few other things. But just, what are your thoughts about all that?
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm not practicing at the moment with it, but just intuitively, yeah, it just feels like whew, I'm getting the kind of word big kind of cover up around an awful lot of
Sure,
stuff. And
sure,
I mean, I
sure.
don't know how far you down the rabbit hole you want me to go, but I've
Far as you want to go, and I'll go with
well,
you.
as you know, it's big pharma, big,
Right.
you know, and I'm talking
Trillions of dollars.
I'm talking personally now. I don't mind
Yeah.
saying that. My son
Mhm.
nearly died from a vaccination,
Right.
and I've had one or two flu jabs in my life, and I've struggled to get rid of that, you know, from
Right.
my body.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, I know if you're a sensitive, you've got to be very careful at the moment. And
Sure.
you know,
Sure.
you've got to be very
Yeah.
careful about what you put in your body. But what I understand with it all as well is the accumulation of everything.
Yes.
So, you know, and also with EMF energy, and we could go down that route as well. But it's
Sure.
the accumulation of things. And I think that's what I've been actually kind of telling young people around me. You
Hmm.
might think this is all fear and worry if you're in your 20s and 30s and in perfect health at the moment. But
Hmm.
it's the accumulation of things, as you
Yes.
know, with health and with nutrition and that kind of thing.
Yes.
So, and
Yes.
I think that is what is the dangerous part of it.
Yes. And
Is
you and
that
I,
these?
sorry, dear, you and I are of, I think, a similar age, you know, and we grew up with
Yeah.
very few vaccinations.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
you know, your kids and their kids, you know, if you have any grandchildren or et cetera, you know, they're challenged to be vaccinated, you know, repeatedly over and over, 60 vaccinations for.
Well, I mean, my heart goes out to you because, to be honest, that's what I've been frightened frightened of in this country. And I haven't got grandchildren at the moment, but my
Okay.
God, you know,
Yeah.
I would be,
Neither do I. Yeah.
I'd be a suffragette, I tell you. So,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
uh,
Have you heard Bobby Kennedy on vaccinations? That's where I got the message from God.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
but even like intuitive, I think, you know, even for me, I'm even just going to my intuition. I can
Sure.
remember as a child.
Right.
Now this shows you how intuitive I was.
Yes.
I would make myself sick, and it wasn't actually sick. I would be scared. I was be petrified, and I really to even the thought of having a vaccination.
Sure. Sure.
That I would make myself so ill that I wouldn't go in and have them at school.
Okay. Yeah.
So
So
that was
you,
even me as being a very
yes,
sensitive
good,
child.
good for you. You knew what was going on, you know, you're
And
saving
that,
your own life.
and that's even just come back in then. So, you
Interesting.
know,
Yeah.
I think even to even put our children through that, and I will say the American system of vaccinating like more than one at a time is like child abuse, basically. I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
get my head around that. I just can't
Yes.
get my head around that. So,
Well, it's like you're saying, it's, you know, it's almost like they want to kill us, you know, ho, ho, ho.
well,
And,
I
yeah.
think that's their agenda, to be
Sure,
honest. So,
sure. And you know, when we know that the pharmaceuticals are making 10 times what the nine highest income earners
yeah,
below them are making put together, and
yeah,
now we have you know, an investor's happiest day, which is here's this
yeah,
life-threatening worldwide plague, and the only thing that can save us from it, it appears,
yeah.
is vaccinations, which Bobby Kennedy points out there's never been a safe one yet.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
know?
I always think follow the money trail, and you'll always find the truth. So,
Right, right,
you know,
right.
when people are at the so-called top who come in as entrepreneurs who are not actually medically trained, and we all know who we're talking about here, you know,
Yes,
when they come in and earning and they are worth like 55 billion pounds, and they purport to then be going to make 200 another 200 billion on
right.
vaccinating the whole of the earth, I think then we've got serious problems.
Yes, well, you want to, yeah, check their story, as we say. Yeah.
Absolutely, that's
Yes,
right.
yes,
And I think also the last few days on I'm channel, you know, even in this country, used to have like laws about monopolies of everything,
right.
and that has kind of gone away. So you know, a lot of the legislation that's come in as well is not sought to, you know,
Sure.
as you know,
Well, yeah, hun, it's the same in the States.
yeah,
The rich are writing their own laws, and Congress
yeah,
is just rubber stamping everything.
yeah,
In the last care package for relief for people, you know, 85% of it went to the top 1%.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's the greatest upward movement of wealth in the history of the world, is the way the chap I was listening to described it.
And I
And
would just say, yeah, question everything, and it's
yes,
not hard to follow it if you are reasonably intelligent and you have a
right,
critical mind, I
right,
think.
right.
And
Yes,
I think that that's the thing I would put out here with people kind of watching this and listening now or
yeah,
later, is that, you know, question everything. And I think that's the thing, when you don't have a questioning mind, you you know, and I will say with everything there is right and wrong with everything, you
sure,
know. And
sure.
a lot of these people, even the doctors, are just followers. I mean, I've got a daughter that's actually in the medical field, so
Right, right,
you know,
right.
yeah, I mean, and she even said to me, "Oh, when are you going to write your research paper, Mum?" She kind of said it to me, tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
have
it's,
actually. I've spent 6 months researching everything. So,
is that right? Okay, brilliant.
mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Well, I mean, the chap I listened to, you might be interested. His name is Christopher Martinson, and
mm.
he's a pathologist. He has a PhD in pathology, and
Okay,
I find him fearless and extremely trustworthy. And
yeah,
he's been breaking down the numbers and the science and the research and you know, all of this painstaking detail. And
yeah,
you know, he's earned my respect, etc.
yeah,
He's on a YouTube channel called Peak Prosperity. But basically, like we're saying, you know, the official story doesn't add up. I've had
no,
two of my brightest male friends
mm,
defriend me basically since all this started, because
mm,
I'm not buying the official version of the story, you know,
no.
on my page.
I
Um,
think what comes in as well, which another friend of mine said, which I think is very relevant. You know, going back and looking back, and even in, I would say, my parents' generation, um, the paradigm programming was to always look up to people who had titles.
of course. Oh my God, in
Yes.
England, like nowhere else, my friend.
Oh,
Truly,
absolutely. That
yes.
they know better. You know, and I've got
Well,
friends that are
this
criminal
is why I love
barristers.
this is why sorry, this I have to give you this. Sorry, Sally. This is why I love John Lennon's line. He goes, "For those of you in the cheap seats, you can clap along, and the rest of you just shake your jewelry." That was you know, that was
Yeah, no, no,
John's. Yes,
absolutely.
that was brilliant. So I just had to get that off. Go on.
No, 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 absolutely. Um, and I think actually, you know, empowerment comes when you actually, well, when you understand that everything's not about money and wealth at all, you know, and that's a big spiritual gift, isn't
What heresy are you speaking, woman? My God, really? It isn't all about money
it?
and wealth?
Well, the whole of life is not about it at
No,
all,
no.
you know.
Have you
And
spent any time with the indigenous people, that because they know that to their souls, you know,
well, that's exactly what I've been saying and was getting even like 10 years ago. And
Sure.
I literally am a seer. So I was literally seeing that, you know, very soon we would be, even at that time, you know, indigenous the tribes and everything would be the ones who would be the wealthiest people on the planet in
Well,
terms of not being affected by all of this, you know. So,
exactly,
you know,
exactly.
go
Yes,
find a mountaintop somewhere in a remote country and you'll you know, be living off the land, off grid, and all the rest of it.
yes,
What comes to mind with this as well is that with the internet coming in, we've become, in terms of the fear paradigm, we've become affected by so many people
right,
around so many countries. And
right.
I'm just going back to like my mother. My mother grew up very, very kind of solitary in her own energy, and was very content to have very few friends and just to go about her day. And so she was unaffected by. And I will say about like energy. We're talking about energy. So, like you talked at the start of this about, you know, the internet and everything coming through, and I think that's what's happening. That, you know, the darker forces, darker energies, are literally siphoning off our energy and feeding on it, and on
Sure.
a
Well,
different
it's
level.
fear to me.
Yeah,
That's what,
yeah.
you know, like we're talking about psychopaths and narcissists. They're bullies,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
they're cowards. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh, I
and
absolutely agree.
Trump
Yeah.
is the king of the cowards, to
Yeah,
my
yeah.
mind, you know, and the biggest bully in the world. And
Mhm.
it's always all about him, and no one else matters and nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And
And
go on.
I think what comes in there with that is that the reason it seems so odd to people that are empathic and that do kindness, care, sympathy, and love is that they aren't functioning like we are. They don't feel on the levels that we do, or
Yeah,
they do feel and then they've shut it down. So, you know, I think there's always a wounding on a core level with those people,
sure,
but
sure.
but they just don't address it, or they've almost like switched that part of
Well,
themselves off.
yeah, they
So,
keep choosing not to heal it, is the best way I can say it.
absolutely, and they'd be
You know.
too shit scared, excuse me, to be able to
Yes,
sit in
yes,
a room with their own demons. You know,
sure, sure.
that they
And
would not do that.
in their
And
case, it's
anyone,
not a metaphor, huh?
sorry,
In their case, it's not a metaphor. Sitting
no,
with their own
no,
demons. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So yeah, it's fascinating. We're on the same page.
It is. So then again, my friends, you and I know this is the time that we've been getting ready for throughout this and other lifetimes of the great shift, the great
Yeah,
awakening, planetary healing crisis, is the phrase that came through, you know, from my guides. And can we talk about some things that you encourage people to do and recommend, including your work and your sites and all that, that would be
yeah,
helpful?
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would say at the moment, my kind of guides to, you know, I wrote the book, and I will say, as I was saying to you before, almost like from a humble place. And it was like, I'd never
Right.
written a book before, but I was guided to teach all the children to meditate for 20 years under the radar in education. That's how I finished up in education, going around all these schools,
Right. Bless
long
you.
before they were talking about it, actually. And again, say that with humility.
Well, it's
And I
wonderful, honey. Good for you. Here's to you.
saw that with tens of thousands of children while teaching, but when the door
Yeah.
was closed, right, here we go, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And my book came through in a similar way. So,
Okay. Yeah.
but I feel because I've channeled it, and I don't feel it's me. And even my book, so I say it's on Amazon at the moment, although I really want to take it away from there at some point as well.
I understand, but people can find it there at the moment, and that's
Find it
what's
there and on
important.
Kindle at the moment. But
Yeah.
so
You
again,
want
as
it?
I say, with all humility, someone Hay House called it a radical new spiritual life handbook.
Brilliant. That's
I,
great.
but as I've channeled it, I'm actually reading it for myself, so I'm even getting messages for it.
I
So
understand the concept. Believe me.
it
I'm
is
well
quite
aware.
incredible. Wayne Dyer used to talk about that as well, really, didn't he?
Well, we're the telephone, Sally. You know,
Yeah,
the message
yeah.
comes through us. So
The
yeah.
message, yeah, the channel and the messenger, really, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's fascinating.
Did you want to read us something from your book?
Yeah. Okay. So, what am I? And it's a big book actually. So that's to say, if people want to buy it, it's up. You know, free choice, free will.
Yes, of
But you can
course.
use it to douse with as well. And how I would say, lots of people
Yeah.
find
Great.
comfort at this time with my
Yeah.
book by just asking what their higher self needs
Brilliant.
and then opening a page.
Love
Really.
it. Yeah.
But I felt, as I feel, we're very much in almost like a call to action time at the moment, and I do
Yes.
see in the future, you know, I literally see peace marches and I get the words revolution and things coming. I'm not inciting anyone to do anything, but that's what I see. But in terms of my poems that I channeled through, when I actually went to Glastonbury, and it was quite interesting because my book, I kept thinking, oh, it's finished, and then I was like stopped, and even I didn't understand the journey with my guides, and it became more relevant as I finished the book.
Yeah.
So I was guided to go down to Glastonbury,
Right.
and then I came back and I wrote these 2 poems, and these just feel
Beautiful.
quite channeled. So they're a call to the divine feminine, but also to the warriors of the light. And maybe if I can read those, then
sure.
I think they'll help people. So
yes, we'll finish up with that. I think that's brilliant. Thank you, hon.
okay,
yeah,
cool.
Well done.
So the first one is Rise, Dear Feminine Woman. And again, even as I say that, it's the feminine and the masculine as well. And as I speak feminine and masculine, it's in both sexes, as you know, it's the divine energy.
Yes.
So look around, dear feminine woman, rise up and rise above. Do not heed the voice of darkness, but rise, oh rise, with love. When the feminine voice is calling, a longing from the soul, let it speak to mind and body and hearts that would be whole. Rise, rise, dear feminine woman, rise up and hear the calls of the thousands who need guiding to freedom through their walls, the walls of desperation, of sadness, pain and wrath. Rise, rise, dear feminine woman, beat the drum along your path. Rise, rise, dear feminine woman, there's a calling from the mists, where sisters are united with harmony and bliss, to speak your heart's true colours and the journey of your soul, when hearts and minds speak kindness and anger has no hold. Rise, rise, dear feminine woman, and speak your sweet refrain, to open up the hearts so closed with anger, fear and pain. We humbly gather peacefully to rise and rise again. Dear spirit of the feminine, it's now the time to claim all the freedom you've been sensing on the journey of your soul. For empathy and kindness, grace and love will make us whole. Our land, our homes, our thoughts, our work upon the earth. Rise up, dear feminine woman, be strong and know your worth. Rise, rise, dear feminine woman, the time is nearly here to spread true love and kindness with faith and free from fear. To gather in your numbers with harmony and grace and tell now what is needed for all the human race.
Beautiful.
And that feels very much a kind of, ignite. I mean, I've read that to clients who I've seen are very strong light workers just about to kind of come out. The tears have come and they've taken. It's almost felt like an initiation with some people. That's what that feels like.
That's lovely. That's gorgeous. Thank you.
And the other one is called Warriors of the Light.
Okay.
So this feels like very much a call to divine masculine in particular, and again in the women as well. As we know, we both come here with masculine and feminine energies.
Yep.
So and I can see yours.
Thank you.
Your
Thank you.
beautiful energy. Bless you.
Thank
Bless
you,
you.
dear. Thank you.
So Warriors of the Light, this is a call to action, really, I think, with what we needed at the moment. Rise, dear warrior brothers, there's a quest within your soul to see the world a better place and break the arms of old. Rise, dear warrior brothers, time to journey to the light, embrace the feminine mystery, to nurture and not fight like brothers of the past, but see the world unite, not blast the dreams of all upon the earth, collaborate with hearts and birth, with valor and great bravery, bring bliss into the mystery. Upon the earth the children fed, and arms at last are put to bed. To heal your pain, all now unite, to breathe a world of hope and light. Celebrate sweet harmony, embrace now love and destiny. Unite now, warrior brothers, fight for a better world for wise insight, where hearts fear not as dreams unfold, emissaries of the light be bold. That feels like Archangel Michael. Where hearts now dream, where love rebounds, a sleeping angel wakes profound. Now focus on your highest mission, the dreams of old, the mighty vision. In reveries high, dream on with power. It's time to rise, it's time to flower, to make the earth a better place, surround the world with love and grace. Take up your strength, bring up the light, show humbly how you speak, not fight. Transform the world, include each other. That is my dream, O warrior brother.
Bravo. Wonderful. That's gorgeous. Yeah.
felt like a guide was coming through with that one.
Yes, that's fantastic, honey. Thank you. And the two of them together, of course, are so beautiful. What a great pairing that is, you know, that, I mean, I love that. I have a song called Warrior of Love, which is
Oh
kind of
wow.
similar. Yes. So
Oh,
I'll have to share that with you at some point. Uh,
sure.
yeah.
There are some more poems and things. I mean, it's obviously writing as well. A lot of writing in here, but
Hmm.
there are more poems that have come through, and I feel that I channel. I rhyme as well when I seem to rhyme when I channel.
Hmm.
But I've also the book title came actually from me recording a song called what am I? Oh, I'm trying to think what the name is. Miracles, Fly and Wishes. That was the song that came through, and the last line was "Remember who you truly are."
Hmm.
And then the book came through kind of after that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Great.
two other
Great.
songs, one called Spirit on a Breeze.
Right.
I am peace and love in everything it starts, and that goes on.
Great.
And then Little Bit of Magic is another one. And they were kind of
Okay.
guided. So
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. Well, we'll put all those in the link.
thank you.
You're a warehouse of inspiration, my friend. Yes. Bless you.
Thank
You're
And
welcome.
the cover is a painting that I did of
Oh,
like St. Michael's Mount. I had a vision of St. Michael's Mount.
right.
So I've like put that on. There are grid lines, as you know, and even I didn't know
Yes.
about. But so
Yes.
much has been given to me. I mean, I don't know, golden light, geometric shapes. I've worked with angels. I've seen
Yes.
angels when my dad died. All kinds of things. I've run angel days and workshops, and
Right. We went to
um,
St. Michael's Mount in Cornwall.
oh, oh wow,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
it's a very sacred kind of place actually.
Yes.
But
Yes. It was very interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Um, mhm.
yeah, they feel like kind of holy places on the planet as well, as you know, don't you?
Yes, yes. And, you know, as you and I are saying, part of why there's so much chaos, confusion, darkness, and fear being put onto people or put in front of people is because there's so much love and healing and awakening and inspiration and healing happening below the surface. And,
Yes.
you know, this is a great, Sally. I'm sure this will be the first of many chats you and I get to have together. There's no doubt. And
Thank
you're welcome. Thank you. And you know, there's just we know this is divine timing. You know, our connecting and sharing some of these ideas with people. And of course, you and I know it's not our job to get everyone to agree with everything or
you.
believe
Oh, no,
everything. It's just to get people thinking and say, look, this is the way
absolutely.
it looks for us. You know, take it for
And
what you will.
I think that's a really good point to kind of end on, really, which was the whole journey of my life. Is that I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything, and
Yeah,
I do believe in this paradigm. Just as animals, every single species of animal is needed, every single species of plant and microorganism is needed. I think collectively, and that's a big message for today, that every single, you know, kind of person is needed on the planet. We all come here with different gifts. We all come here with different missions. And
that's right.
I,
Yeah,
I think to kind of want to now robotize everyone to be like a certain way would actually eventually be the whole collapse of the whole earth. And I think this is what's so stupid about the whole thing. So,
yes,
you know, the
yes,
enslaved people, there are, you know, some people who are now, which they have always been trying to do, enslave people. So they are
sure.
away from their own sovereignty. And I think this is the time where you take back your own sovereignty. And it's great to have disagreements with people because it means that you're just running on your own truth. And you know, and I think that's my journey, is just to wake people up to their own truth. And
Yeah,
that's I'm not here to put what I feel on anybody.
sure, hun.
And when I do sessions, and that's what I know I can feel with
Yeah,
you do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's what our mission has been. And I think it's very different from the, you know, the way things have been done. And I do feel almost like the intuitives of will be in the future, almost like
Yes,
the psychiatrists as well and the doctors of the future. So as
sure.
our gifts wake up, like I'm sure you are, you know, I've seen things medically with people, you know, we're all coming in, but because there's so much fear around it all, and the pharmacy want to keep control, that
Yeah.
they won't, they don't want that at the moment. But
Well, as you and I know, we've seen the future and the good guys win.
yeah, absolutely.
So, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's
And
not a
I think
question of if, it's just when. Yeah.
but also to leave on a positive note with it as well, that this has been dictated even in astrology as well. And I wasn't into astrology, but I've become a lot more interested in it, and I know a lot more about it now. But so this was a time, even I think even last year, we were coming back to the energy, almost like the Dark Ages. And it's interesting how I'm finding myself living right near Hampton Court Palace. So there was a lot of dark stuff that kind of went on around the palace. And I think part of my mission has actually been almost like clearing the energy of that.
Sure.
If I, even a year ago, I wouldn't have even understood that. But what I've brought in with even kind of energies to help lift that up. And I've walked every day in the Rose Garden, which is quite interesting. Because I didn't even know why I was here, but it was other people saying, oh, you've probably come in to do some of that. So, you know, I think we're all, week by week, day by day, we're all starting to kind of, gifts are coming in and ring of things, you know.
Yes,
and,
dear. Yeah.
Crystals and all kinds of things.
Yes. Well, sweetheart, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, a pleasure to get to know you and connect on all these lovely levels here.
No, me too. Very much soul recognition, really. So bless you. Lovely to meet you. Really lovely.
You too. So we'll put the links there. We'll leave it there for the moment. Sally Francis, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Have a great afternoon, and I'll chat with you again soon, okay?
Sure, bless you. Thank you.
Thanks a million.
Namaste. You're welcome.
You too.